Imagine a dark, damp cave. In it, people are chained from birth, facing the cave's wall. This is not a tale of physical captivity, but rather one of the mind. The prisoners, as we'll call them, know only this world. Their vision is confined to a narrow field, their gaze fixed on the cold, barren wall before them. They're bound, unable to turn their heads, their understanding of existence limited to this small, shadowy realm. This wall, their universe, is illuminated by the flickering light of a fire positioned behind them. It casts an array of shadows, dancing and shifting, the only spectacle within their sight. These shadows are born from objects and figures, paraded behind the prisoners by unseen puppeteers, yet the prisoners do not know this. They cannot see the source of these shadows, the fire, or their own bodies. They see only the projections on the wall. These illusions are their reality. They assign names to these shadows, ascribe meanings, create stories. It is all they know, all they believe in. They are ignorant of the world outside the cave, outside their limited perception. The shadows are their truth, their reality, their entire world. But these are merely echoes of reality, distorted representations of the true forms outside the cave. The prisoners, however, have no way of knowing this. They are chained, not just by the iron around their necks, but by their ignorance. They are bound by the confines of their perception, prisoners to their own minds. They are content in their ignorance, finding comfort in the familiarity of the shadows. They are oblivious to their own shackles, unaware of the vast world that lies beyond their limited sight. They are satisfied with the shadows, for they do not know of anything else. They do not yearn for the sun when they have only known the dim light of the cave. In their ignorance, the prisoners are content. But what happens when one of them breaks free? A prisoner breaks his chains, emerging into the blinding light of the external world. Our protagonist, bound by ignorance for so long, suddenly finds himself free. He stumbles forth from the dark recesses of the cave, his eyes squinting against the intense, unfamiliar light. His heart pounds within his chest, his mind whirls with confusion, yet he presses on, drawn by a sense of wonder and curiosity that surpasses his fear. This new world is not a gentle one. It is harsh and unforgiving, filled with stark contrasts and overwhelming sensations. The sun, in all its radiant glory, burns his eyes, the wind cuts through his skin, the ground beneath his feet is rough and uneven, yet through the pain and discomfort there comes a sense of awe, of revelation. He gazes upon the sun, the source of all light, and it is a sight that leaves him breathless. It is a symbol, a metaphor for the ultimate truth, the absolute reality that exists outside the confines of the cave. It is a painful acknowledgement, a realization that the shadows he had known were mere illusions, distortions of the truth. Yet with this pain comes enlightenment, a profound understanding that changes him fundamentally. He is no longer a prisoner of the cave, shackled by ignorance and deception. He is a man who has seen the light, who has tasted the sweet nectar of truth, and it is a taste that is both bitter and liberating. The world outside the cave is vast, complex, and filled with endless possibilities. It is a world that challenges, provokes, and demands a response. It is a world that is not easily understood, a world that requires courage, determination, and a willingness to question, to seek, to explore. With newfound knowledge, the freed prisoner feels a duty to return to the cave. But will his fellow prisoners accept the truth? Will they break their own chains, venture out into the blinding light, and embrace the reality that lies beyond the shadows? Or will they choose comfort over truth, ignorance over enlightenment? Only time will tell. The freed prisoner returns, eager to share his discovery, only to be met with hostility. So, our enlightened prisoner, with his newfound knowledge, returns to the cave. His eyes, once again accustomed to the dim light, seek out his former companions. He is brimming with revelations, eager to share the truths he has unearthed. But the reception he gets is far from welcoming. He begins to describe the outside world, his words painting pictures of the sun, the stars, and all the vibrant colors that his companions have never seen. He speaks of the shadows on the wall being mere illusions, a distorted version of reality, but his words fall on deaf ears. The prisoners, still shackled, cannot comprehend a reality beyond their familiar shadows. They dismiss his tales as delusions, the ramblings of a madman. This rejection of truth speaks volumes about the fear of the unknown. The prisoners prefer the comfort of their familiar shadows, their predictable world, rather than challenge their perceptions and embrace an unknown reality. They choose ignorance over enlightenment, for it is easier to accept a lie that one has lived with than to confront a truth that disrupts one's world. The enlightened prisoner's experience mirrors the danger of challenging established beliefs in our society. Those who dare to question the status quo, to challenge accepted truths and propose new ideas often face resistance. They are met with hostility, their ideas dismissed as absurd, their sanity questioned. It is a grim testament to the power of established beliefs and the fear of change. The prisoner's rejection also highlights how we as a society often dismiss truths that challenge our worldviews. We cling to our beliefs, our familiar shadows, and reject anything that threatens to disrupt them. We prefer the comfort of ignorance over the discomfort of enlightenment. In the face of resistance, the enlightened prisoner stands alone, but what does this tell us about our own reality? Are we too prisoners in our own caves, shackled by our beliefs, refusing to embrace new truths? The allegory of the cave is more than just a story, it's a reflection on the human condition. Diving headfirst into the murky waters of this narrative, we find ourselves questioning the very fabric of our existence. Plato's allegory is a tale of prisoners, bound in a cave, forever watching shadows on the wall. These shadows, mere reflections of objects outside the cave, become the prisoner's reality. But what happens when one prisoner is freed? He emerges into the sunlight, blinded by the truth, the actual reality that had been hidden from him. This allegory is a stark metaphor for our journey to gain knowledge and enlightenment. It forces us to ponder. What is reality? Is it what we perceive through our senses? Or is it something far more profound, far more elusive? Are we, like the prisoners, merely gazing at shadows, mistaking them for truth? Plato's allegory challenges the notion that knowledge is merely the accumulation of facts. It suggests that true knowledge comes from understanding the underlying realities, the truths that lie beyond the shadows. It's a call to question, to probe, to seek, and to never settle for the superficial. Fast forward to the 21st century, and the allegory is more relevant than ever. In an age of information overload, where we are bombarded with data at every turn, it's easy to mistake the shadows for reality. The allegory encourages us to step out of our comfort zones, to question the status quo, and not to accept things at face value. It's a reminder that enlightenment isn't a destination, but a journey that requires us to constantly challenge our perceptions, to peel back the layers of illusion, and to strive for the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. Next time you perceive something as reality, remember the prisoners in the cave and question, is this the truth or just a shadow on the wall?